Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, Gary here for Bizarre Brain Comics. And been doing a series showing you some of the digest-sized comics that I've got. And here I have another little bunch of Archie digest comics. And these all happen to be Betty and Veronica and various permutations of the title. One of the more unusual things is these aren't nearly as old as some of the others that I've shown on this. The oldest of these goes back to 2003. Here's Betty and Veronica, double digest. Yeah, Betty and Veronica, double digest. Of course, is mostly your standard Archie fare from various periods in history. I like the art on that one. See if it says no credits. Of course, they also often have the little puzzles and stuff. Never cared for the puzzles. I like the pinups and the single gags. Oh, here's Betty's Diary. I always like it when they did Betty's Diary. And of course, all this reprint stuff. It's from various titles. I have from stories from Betty's solo stories and Veronica's solo stories. This goes back to the 60s. And then they also throw in some stuff for their little stories from some of the tertiary characters. And others that had characters that had their own title, even though they weren't. Yeah, Betty's Diary Party Doll. To get Archie. Oh, that's unusual because it's a straight up Archie story. Oh, Katie Keene fashion. Oh, that's so you can. I didn't see that before. You can design your own fashions on the Katie Keene figure. Katie Keene Worldly Fashions. Didn't know they still had Katie Keene at that point. One of the little games and stuff were probably interesting for kids. But even as a kid, I was never big on doing those scene-savvy Archies. But this was probably from the 80s. It talks about MTV, but it's NTV. Little Betty and Little Veronica. Not that they weren't usually as interesting as the Little Archie stories, because Bob Bolin did most of the Little Archie stories, and they had a lot of the more adventurous stuff in them. And pinups, oh yes, and Cheryl Blossom, even Cheryl Blossom stories. Oh, this goes back to the early 60s, possibly even the late 50s, but I would guesstimate early 60s. Mid-60s, maybe as much as the early 70s for that Archie and the Jalopy. Oh, here we go. Yeah, a whole bunch of these. That's 60s, definitely 60s. You can tell by the art style and largely by the fashions, mostly the women's fashions. Yeah. Betty and Veronica, Three's a Crown. And this is just the regular digest size, double digest. So you can see the difference. Double digest. And this was a discard from the library. Yeah, that other one was Betty and Veronica 92. This one is 137. And, some of the ads are timely. Josie and the Pussycats. I like Josie and the Pussycats. And they have some of the Josie and Pussycat stories in some of these too, going back to the 70s. Food fight. This is interesting. The Betty and Veronica double digest, 152. That's nice. Poor thing, oh poor baby. 70s, definitely 70s. 60s or early 70s. Oh, I just made it. Keep on trucking, yeah. Mostly same old stuff. Typical Archie type stuff. Dating, wanting to date. The girls in competition with each other. They really are frenemies. But, oh, that goes back to the 60s. Look at that, those styles. Learn to draw, Betty. Oh, that doesn't really tell you much, but you can give kids some hints. More from the probably early 70s. That's one of the things that's neat about the digests, is that they have reprints of old stuff. They seldom go back beyond the late 50s anymore. Oh, I wanted to, when I get to it, the here is featured, and here is here we are. Notice the different art style back in the early 2000s, maybe as early as the late 90s, but I think it was the early 2000s. They had what they called the New Look, and it was just for special things. And this is one. They had a series. They would have a specific story. It'd be an ongoing series of chapters, like 3 or 4, take 3 or 4 or 5 parts. It'd be each in an issue of the title, and be continued for 3 or 4 months, whatever. And it would be a more dramatic type teen story instead of all the humor. In this case, it's bad boy trouble. They have more realistic art, more realistic type story. I actually liked these better, some better than the new Archie stuff that they've done the last few years. The stuff that inspired Riverdale, and then they were reprinted in graphic novel form. I like those. Notice these first 3 that I'm showing. It's a little tiny, so it must have been just before it went away. Has the still bearing the Comics Code stamp on them, and then you see all these later ones. They don't have the Comics Code stamp. Because the Comics Code went away. I don't know what year it was. It's because it wasn't necessary. The publishers usually, if it was more mature, it would be marked more mature, and it would be intended for mature audiences. If it wasn't, like Betty and Veronica, Archie stuff, that's very kid friendly. If they had something that wasn't kid friendly, they would probably let you know it would be for more mature audiences. The best of Archie Comics. I have a lot of these super oversized ones. We'll get to some of the stuff that here's one thing I wanted to mention, because I was looking through these and I saw a bunch of these Archie, and said, why are these an odd layout? Because I don't see anything that says so, but I believe these are reprinting Sunday strip from the newspaper strip, Sundays, and I'd like to see them reprint more from the strip just to see it. Oh, this looks 70s or early 80s Veronica pinup. I like that one. New coloring. I like that one. Frank Talk. And they have an occasional more adventurous one in here once in a while. Oh, this is, yeah, Betty gets helps Archie out, and he kisses her and drives off, and she is just cloud nine. She is just flying high from that one kiss from Archie. And all these kids are so. Oh, this is neat. Veronica in Australia, wild country. That's when they had the series. What was it? Veronica Around the World, I think was the title. And each issue she would be going someplace else, have an adventure in a romantic adventure in some foreign country. Now I forgot what I was starting to say, and I got distracted by that. They throw in some of the other characters in here, especially females. Here's Sabrina, another Sabrina story. Weird stuff. Let's put up swimsuit fashions. I'd like to see them do more reprinting of the Archie Comics newspaper strip. Betty and Veronica double digest. See, and this one was 204. This one's 226. On the beach. That's neat. And I'm sure some of these covers are recycled images, either from pinups or older covers, as well as, of course, they do new covers as well. And Cheryl Blossom. Yeah, Cheryl Blossom. When Betty and Veronica became too friendly, and they were, over time, see, Veronica, even though Archie was always after Veronica the most, which I never understood, thought Betty was always best. But eventually Veronica mellowed. She was the bad girl. She was mean and nasty-ish. And even though Betty and Veronica were friends, they were a lot of frenemies. They would often try to... Here's another Sunday strip. A lot of sabotaging one another and the like. And bad-mouthing each other behind the back. Oh, this is kind of neat, because Veronica, classic TV, and they have her in various... in the guise of various TV shows. Here's That Rich Girl from That Girl. That goes way back to the 60s. The Averonicas. See this? The Averonicas, which is a play on the British show The Avengers from the 60s with Steed and Peel. Bionic Shopper Woman. And The Lodge Family, play on the Addams Family. And then this younger version of Sabrina there. Just throw all kinds of older stuff, reprint stuff. And of course they have Josie and the Pussycats. I always liked Josie and the Pussycats. 70s. Definitely 70s. And then sometimes they do new material specifically for the digest books. This is really nice. This is drawn by Stan Goldberg. And not too long ago, I did Millie the Model, and it was drawn by Stan Goldberg. It's a nice, clean work. Who was the John Lowe was the inker, and I think his inking shows her really. See, Stan Goldberg's been doing this kind of material for decades. Unless it's a rougher. Betty and Veronica 228, and this is definitely a drawing. It's Dan DeCarlo, but definitely a drawing from the 60s. Look at those styles, the style of art and the style of the clothing and stuff. And unless he was doing it to imitate that style, you never can tell. 6 ads. Archie marries Betty. Archie Marries Veronica, The Married Life. I want to get some. I only got a couple of those. Oh, this is some nice pencils by Stan Goldberg again. That's what I thought. Some nice detail in it. He did. Well, he's done it for so long. It's some nice work. Cheryl Blossom, yeah, because Veronica was always the nasty girl, but she mellowed over the years. They needed someone to kind of take that nasty place, that nasty girl place, mean girl place. Pin up. That's 60s. So they kind of got Cheryl Blossom, and even sometimes she mellows a little bit. But one of the things, and they reprint stuff from Cheryl Blossom's own title, which only ran for a short while. There's Sabrina again. Spectacular Style. Love Showdown. This Time It's War. That was good. That was good. I've got it. I've got some of that. 70s with Josie and the Pussycats. Dan DiCarlo. There's Nancy. She's Chuck's girlfriend. Yeah, Cheryl Blossom became the mean, nasty girl. Needed a redhead. Okay, girls, now smile. Yeah, this is Curran because using a iPad to take the picture instead of the camera. 234 B&V. It's got Cheryl Blossom in there. That's for some other things. That was Cheryl Blossom, the mean, nasty girl. She doesn't care about Archie. This is nice. Oh, this is Holly Golightly. I have her on Facebook. She's good. She is good. I really like her work. Yeah, great. Holly Golightly. Creature feature. So Cheryl Blossom was the mean girl. And she really didn't care so much about Archie. She was more interested in getting Archie if she could. When she was around, he'd kind of go gaga, because she was even richer than Frank. I really like this pinup, and that's definitely from the 60s. So she was the mean and more 60s, early 70s, more the mean and nasty girl stuff. And actually, she was more interested in getting Archie away from the girls, Betty and Veronica, and doing other mean and nasty things to the girls. She's just a mean girl. Sometimes she's not so bad. But that's just Cheryl Blossom. And then I was mentioned the graphic novel, Bad Boy Trouble. I got the graphic novel here. I'll include it in the digest size because you can see here, it's just a little bit larger than the digest. I like the artwork. This is has the complete story. From that, I need to get some more of these sometime. And I like these. I like the style and pencils. Steve Butler inks Al Milgrom. I'm not familiar with Steve Butler except for this stuff, but Al Milgrom we know because he was an inker going way back to the 60s Marvel. And I think it's some nice work. And it's nice, and it's all the characters are easily recognizable, but it's just in the more realistic stylization. You wouldn't want it for everything, of course. It's not quite superhero, but it could easily be adapted for it. And so, well, and that's all I got for this time for the Archie Digest comics. Betty and Veronica. Thanks for joining me. My gosh. Thanks for joining me. Please like, share, subscribe. and leave a comment. And remember, whoops, comics are art.